welcome to the firm. On the show this week, to allow or not to allow qualified audit reports. YH Malegam says yes, but do these gentlemen agree? And Bharti caught in an open offer storm as it fights ABG for the great offshore treasure. Now, India is amongst those countries in the world that allows for a qualified auditor's report. Auditor's report, you know that page in the annual report that says, in our opinion and to the best of our information and according to the explanations given to us, the financial statements give a true and fair view, blah, 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 blah. Well, a qualified annual report is when, get this, the auditor concludes that an unqualified opinion cannot be expressed. Now, when can that happen? A qualification can occur when the auditor disagrees with management about matters such as the acceptability of accounting policies selected, the method of their application, or the adequacy of disclosures in the financial statements. If the difference of opinion is severe, the auditor can go beyond just a qualification and express an adverse opinion, or in the worst case, a disclaimer of opinion. Now, accounting standards say that when a qualified opinion is expressed, a clear description of all these substantive reasons should be included in the report, and unless impracticable, a quantification of the possible effect should be mentioned. So if you haven't got it as yet, qualifications are bad news. And a recent CII task force report on governance says there are simply too many disclaimers being introduced time and again by auditors, and that the ICAI needs to standardize the language of disclaimers and qualifications permissible. So if auditors are using qualifications as an escape route, why not shut it down? Well, that's what I asked YH Malegam, well-known auditor and a member of that CII task force.
No, I think first is what is a qualification? A qualification is a disagreement between the auditor and the management regarding the manner in which financial statements have been prepared. So, in the US, it's true that for the SEC will not accept a qualified report. But there's a slight difference in the legal process. In India, the accounts have to be filed with the registrar after they are approved by the shareholders at the annual general meeting. So you can't have a situation where the annual general meeting has approved a set of accounts and then you file it with the registrar and he says, because it's a qualification, I can't help you to file it. So that route is not available. The second thing to remember is that under our processes, accounts are, the responsibility for the preparation of accounts is with the board. The accounts are prepared by the board and submitted to the auditor for a report thereon. So theoretically, the auditor doesn't prepare the accounts. He only reports upon it. And when he reports upon it, he has no option but to either say that, all right, I agree or I disagree. It may be that in advance he can say that these are your draft accounts and you should make the change. So you have the other situation that suppose there is a genuine difference of opinion between the management and the auditor. If you were to say we will not accept any qualification, it means that the management always has to accept the opinion of the auditor, even when they feel that that opinion is incorrect. And that could be so. So I am not in favor of that proposition that you cannot accept a qualified report. But what I am in favor of is that once you have a qualification, then you have to examine the nature of that qualification and take the strongest possible action against management if you are convinced that qualification is justified. And the comment which has been made here about standardization of qualifications is probably not expressed what we really wanted to say. The question was that an auditor should not use a qualification as a basis of abrogating his responsibility. He can't say, for example, that confirmations have not been obtained and then say, I qualify my report. He has to see what is the consequence of that qualification. Then he has to go the whole hog. He has to say that, for example, either he determines the amounts involved, and if they are material, then he qualifies. If they are not material, he doesn't qualify. Or he has to say that if this error is not rectified, the accounts don't give a true and fair view. He has to in some situations disclaim an opinion. But the auditors sometimes do what I call lazy qualifications. They just want to abrogate their responsibility by making a general comment, which is neither here nor there.
An auditor plays a first level of governance, or a second level, if I may say so, because independent directors actually provide the first level of governance in a company, independent governance, that is. Why then, sir, do you believe that we should allow for qualifications? Because if a company cannot abide by the recommendations of the auditor or the advice handed out by the auditor, then in a sense you're allowing bigger and bigger loopholes, or loopholes that will grow bigger and bigger over time and have already done so, for companies to find ways of getting out of what should be actually good audit practice.
No, but you are assuming that the auditor is always right. He could be wrong, because there are equally competent independent directors on the board and in audit committees, and sometimes we do have this situation where after all, one member of the audit committee is supposed to be an expert in these matters, and he has a view.
Right.
Now, otherwise there would be some sort of an oppression by the audit profession on the management. The question is, assuming there is a qualification, and therefore it should be in a very rare occasion that a qualification arises, where there is a genuine difference of opinion between the audit and the management, the regulatory authority then must be willing to examine that qualification, to see who is right and who is wrong. And if it finds that the management is wrong and it has still accepted a qualification, then of course action should be taken against the company and its directors. If on the contrary they are convinced that the management and the directors are right and the auditor is wrong, then they should take action against the auditor.
But can't that be resolved through debate? I go back to the US example, not that we have to, for instance, ape what America does or follow them to the T, but clearly there, either they leave it up to boards or and auditors to reconcile the differences they may have in opinion, or the auditor prevails. Why can't we allow for that?
Because,
why would they say it's an okay system and we say it's not?
The SEC has a large body of individuals, professionally qualified people who are able to judge the quality of the qualification when it is brought to them. I have often suggested this, that why don't we have a system of an advisory board attached to the Department of Company Affairs, that where serious qualifications are there, you refer that matter to the advisory board. Let them give an opinion whether what was qualification is a valid qualification or not. And then take action based on that decision.
Alright, so White Malegam says don't disqualify qualifications. But does the rest of his fraternity agree? Isha Dalal has auditors and CFOs thinking aloud.